Now I don't know who's told you things, but let me just tell you about something. Witchcraft. Well, I don't practice it. Not at all. But I know it's there with me all the while. I still see things now and again. Little things. I see spirits now and again. That's the best part.
Karma has perfect timing. It doesn't miss, but it also doesn't rush. It waits until people feel comfortable, until they believe they've gotten away with what they did, and then life starts showing them what their actions really cost. When someone keeps lying, manipulating, or hurting others, life slowly mirrors that behavior back to them. They lose trust, peace, and genuine connection. That's how karma works, not with drama, but with quiet repetition.
Alright YouTube. Well, I've got a little story to tell. 100% truth. And if you believe that my stories are good and they're true, which they are, then please either subscribe to me or even just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, it's up to you. But just to let me know that there is somebody watching these videos and there is interest. Alright? Now, part 4 to 5, whatever it was, told you that about a black car and a red motorbike. Typical clocks, recognise. Okay, so here we go. The red motorbike. It did come true, but it was my fault. I didn't do it on purpose. It happened. And it's true, 100%. It's on police record that it happened. So, if anybody ever wants to look me up, they can. If they're in where you can. Right, anyway, it's on police record. What happened was, I was with a woman called Madge. She was a lovely woman. She makes me want to cry when I think about it. I miss her so much. She was my soulmate. She was my soulmate. She had 2 kids, Jenny and Stephen. Anyway, we both lived in this townhouse on the Castle estate. So it was on Castle estate in Birmingham. It was great. We all lived happily. I bought this motorbike to do up and sell. It was only cheap, because in them days you could get bikes cheap. Where I bought from was Vale Angelo's, was a second-hand motorbike place. It was called Vale Angelo's. In there, that was close to the town centre, Birmingham. But it was outside Birmingham town centre. Okay, so I bought it. I took it home. I think I paid 50 quid for it. I bought it. I took it home. I kept it in the shed as I was doing it up. We were ready for the MOT, but I never got around to doing it. Because in them days, it was easier to just drive a motorbike. Tell no notice. If you get nicked, you're going to get a slap on the hand. Or you're going to be told to take it off the road. And take it home, you get off the road, don't drive it again. That was the law then. it was easy. So anyway, me being a thug, but not a thug, a person that didn't really care much. I know about saying that's but it was just life to me. It was just life. You know, just normal everyday life. So anyway, I got unemployed. I was on the dole. Alright, I was on the dole. I was unemployed. So, one day, we had to sign on the Thursday. But Gyro come early. He came that day. So, my missus, Madge, says to me, we'll go and sign on. We'll hurry up back. I said, why? She said, because Chris is coming. I said, who's Chris? Oh, well, you know who's Chris. Well, I'm right. Chris is coming. That was my missus' brother, my brother-in-law. He was always on the scrounge, always wanting to borrow money. He was a bit of a druggie, let's say, okay? That's what he was. He was a bit of a druggie with his marijuana. Well, in the days he was Lebanese, he was black. You know, I'm glad he was on his soft, but there again, it wasn't. Right, so I said, hurry up back when you go. So I thought, the buzz. But there again, I could take the motorbike because I could hurry up with that. That was my thinking. Buzz, take an hour, maybe more. The motorbike could get there in no time, really. So I thought, I'll take the bike. So I set off from Castlevale. I went through the Bromford estate, down the big half-mile curve, up the road, throw a right up the road, Castle Anrock, throw another left, go to the Social Security office, sign my name, then come back. Easy, really easy. So I went sign my name. A couple of my mates were there, and they drive motorbikes as well. So I was talking to him, but I didn't want to get in too much conversation because I had to hurry up back. So I said, look lads, I've got to go. Sorry now, mate. And one says, well, don't worry about it, we'll see you soon. Oh mate, see you soon. So I jumped on a motorbike and set off. The problem happened on the Bromford. I think it was the Bromford. It was the Collector Road. So I was going down the Bromford Collector Road, which is a half a mile bend. In other words, it's like going around the corner. It's like a bend, okay? But on my helmet, the helmet I wore was a normal helmet. I'll show you what I mean. It was like this one, like a full-face helmet. That's what it was, just like that one, just like a full-face helmet. But he never had one in. Never ever had one in. He never had that part. So it was just open face all the time, open face. So when the wind came, you'd have to blink to clear your eyes because it'd be cold out. And that was it. So I was going down the Bromford Lane, the Bromford Bend, the Collector Bend, flying down half mile bend, and I was in a hurry. I must admit it, I was breaking the law, but I was in a hurry. So I'm giving this Suzuki GT, sorry, right, Suzuki 185 GT twin. I was giving it all, everything you could get out of it. I was flying down the road. About 75, maybe 80 mile an hour, I can't remember, so 75 to 80 mile an hour. Flying. Go around that corner was great. Every now and again I'd blink to clean my eyes because I had to, because there was tears coming out of my eyes. That's how fast I was going. So I blinked, carried on going. I blinked, carried on going. And I blinked, and then I woke up in hospital. In hospital, me in hospital, yeah, me in hospital. What am I doing in hospital? Well, I woke up, and you won't believe what I see. There's a copper sat there, the same copper, exactly the same copper that nicked me when the black car Translito 2200. When I got done for that, he was sat there. But there, right there, there was a chief of the fire people. The chief of the fire people, the sergeant of the fire people. So I looked. And the first thing the copper says was, he said, have you got any insurance on a bike? Eh? What? What bike? And he says, the bike you were driving. I said, what bike I'm driving? He said, you got a motorbike here? I said, yeah, I have. It's in the shed at home. Plain innocent. Trying to play off. Because I worked out what happened. You know, come off a bike or something's happened. So I tried to tell some poor kids, get away with it. Stupid, I know, of naughty. But, well, you got to try here, you have to try now and again. So he came on and went, no, he says, your bike's not at home, is it? He says, where you got your bike? I said, why have you got my bike? He said, you don't know. I said, no, I don't know. He said, what's the last thing you remember? Sign on. He went, oh, that's what you was doing. And then he says, well, you do know your motorbike's destroyed, damaged. I says, why is it damaged? Well, I didn't know what happened, so. And he went, because. And then he passed me over to this one here. And he says, I said, well, go on, what happened then? He says, you do know we had to with bags, lift the bus, jack the bus up with airbags. I said, what did you jack a bus up with airbags for? And he went, to get you and your motorbike from the centre of the bus. I said, what do you mean centre of the bus? He says, from the back to the centre, from the back to the front, centre of the bus. I said, I've been underneath a double-decker bus. He says, yes, you've been underneath a double-decker bus. That's where we got you from. And he says, you was hugging it, like as if you was in love with it. I said, what do you mean in love with it? He said, you was hugging it, like a fetus. I said, what do you mean a fetus? Like a baby. Like a newly born baby, hugging. You was stuck to the bike, you was hugging it. You was holding tight to it. I suppose doing that, he said, I don't know. He says, but that's what happened. You hit that bus doing stupid speeds, and the learner bus driver was parked halfway around the bend, and you run into the back of a double-decker bus, and you went underneath. I said, all right. I said, well, I looked. I said, why not scratched up, why not damaged? And he says, we'd like to know that ourselves. And then the copper butted in, and he went, from now on, we're going to call you Captain Scarlet. I said, why are you going to call me Captain Scarlet? He says, you're indestructible. I said, what do you mean? He said, I know about the car. He said, I was there then, wasn't I? He said, you know me, don't you? I said, yeah, I know you. And he went, you never had a scratch on you. You had a tiny little bruise there. There. You had a tiny little bruise, and it was your mate who had his leg ripped off. Yeah. I says, well, that's judgment, isn't it? I said, he shouldn't have stole that car. I never stole it. He nicked it, and he got done for it. But, I says, I never done it. I never stole the car. He said, I know that. He says, but this motorbike is all down to you. I said, yeah, it was down to me. I said, right, I'll admit it. I withdraw my motorbike. I was in a rush to sign on because my gyros come early. And we know that the brother-in-law, my brother-in-law, would be on the scrounge. And his name was Christopher Colgan. And then they went. About an hour later, my missus turned up, crying. She was crying. She was crying. She was a lovely woman. I'll never forget. I'll never forget her. Do you know what? That's one person in my life where I miss so much. I will never forget her until the day I die. What happened to her? At 37 years of age, and you must admit that's young, isn't it? She died of a mass heart attack. She died in my arms. Well, she died in my bed, talking on the bed. But that's another story anyway. I'll tell you about it. If you want me to talk about it, I'll talk about it. But let me know in the comments if you want me to talk about it. Or, like I said, just give me a thumbs up to let me know that you're interested, that you're watching my videos. Okay? Many meat, many parts. Oh, I never got done for the bike. I never got charged for it. The bus company never even tried to sue me. So there must have been something wrong. That learning bus driver must have done something wrong, badly. What caused the accident, I don't know. But I never got done for it. Never heard another word about it. My motorbike, I got it from the police station. It wasn't that bad. The forks were all bent. I knocked them out, straightened them up. I sold the bike about a month later for spares repairs, for bits, for parts. But it was a good motorbike. It was a real good motorbike. Suzuki 185 GT. It was a fantastic bike. It's what I wanted at the time. But that's all for now, right? What's for next videos? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It's up to you. One thing I'd say to my Nana in heaven, I love you, Nana, and I love you, Nana, and thank you for being my spirit that helps. You're a lovely woman. Do you know what I miss most about my Nana? I miss the pancakes. She was the best woman you could ever imagine that could cook a pancake. She was brilliant. Thank you, Nana. And I'll see you soon, Madge. Bye. Catch you later.
Karma has perfect timing. It doesn't miss, but it also doesn't rush. It waits until people feel comfortable, until they believe they've gotten away with what they did, and then life starts showing them what their actions really cost. When someone keeps lying, manipulating, or hurting others, life slowly mirrors that behavior back to them. They lose trust, peace, and genuine connection. That's how karma works, not with drama, but with quiet repetition.